Ananda, one of the questions of philosophy is what things really exist. I mean, we know the material world exists. Some philosophers don't necessarily agree with that. But each belief system, philosophical, theological, has their own ideas. From a Buddhist point of view, what are the things of reality?
Yes, it's a very interesting question that you ask, because the third section of the Buddhist scriptures in the Southern School, which is the Pali Canon, called the Abhidhamma, the metaphysical part of it, when we study the subject, is presented under 4 headings. And these are the 4 things that exist. I'll give the Pali and then I give you it's a Chitta, Chaitasika, Rupa, Nibbana. Chitta is consciousness. With the emphasis that Buddhism gives to consciousness, Chitta, consciousness, is identified as one of the most important, the first thing that exists. Chaitasika or Chetasika means the abstract mental factors, both the good and the bad. We have the emotions that are kindness and sympathy and compassion and pity and sympathetic joy, as well as anger, malice, and the kind of the avarice and greed. All these are abstract mental factors, and they are again studied as another set of things to be recognized as existing and studied. Third is called Rupa, which is form, and form goes in every aspect, this life as well as the other lives. Buddha's concept of the universe was in the plural. In Buddhism, we talk not of one universe, we talk of universes, unending and without a limit. Ananta, aparimana, those 2 words means, Ananta means no end, aparimana means no limit. And they are always arising, existing, decaying, and disappearing. So it's a universe that keeps on going in that rotation. And we talk in terms of worlds that are coming into existence today and disappearing tomorrow. So it is, the Rupa includes all that. That is where the human realm and the hell, other things, that there are 31 possible existences that we recognize. Started with the hells to invisible hungry ghosts and demons and deities, the gods, the people in the 6 kinds of heavens, those in the higher states of mental existence, and including where there could be, in my language when we taught, they say there are 4 worlds in which the mind exists without a body, or consciousness exists without a body.
That's the highest level.
That's the highest level. And Nibbana. Outside all this is that state of complete cessation of suffering which the Buddha presented as the explanation of his path.
That's the word we know as nirvana.
Nirvana. So this composes the whole the universe and or universes, and there is nothing that is excluded. So it's, the most important is the consciousness, which is regarded as the first of the 4. Then what is in that consciousness are those abstract concepts, abstract ideas, qualities, and so forth. The material form comprising of all the material things, the matter. And above all these things, or beyond all this, is a state that is inexplicable but attainable.
And that's nirvana.
Nibbana.
Now the third state is the state of forms, and it's the material world, but in that state you have these 31 levels of existence that are part of the third state. So you have 31 categories.
Categories, 31 levels of existence.
Within the the big
Yeah,
category. So if you have 4 big categories, and then in the third you have 31 subsets under that. Is that right?
That's right. You're right.
And those subsets are, some of them, actually very few of them are of the physical world. Most of them are things that we can't even see.
We know animals.
Now, animals.
That level we know.
Yes.
We know our level, the human level.
Yes.
That's about all that we see.
Yeah.
Where the hells exist, we have to take on whatever the word of the authority that stated it.
Yes.
With regard to the invisible beings, we don't know, but the that idea of showing that the universality cannot be confined to this or that. The one I think, as we Buddhists, we have been trained to look at the whole existence or the whole universe as inexhaustible. It's a variety. And we cannot be surprised because we have been told to expect surprises all the time. So, in the sense that the worlds are, the evolution or the evolving worlds can produce anything.
And this is the fundamental part of the teaching. This is not just some ideas of certain scholars or people. This is fundamental to
this comes
teaching.
This one comes at a very good question that you asked me there, Robert, because very often we have the interpretations that each one of us try to give.
Yes.
But some of the things that I have been mentioning are taken straight from the canonical texts themselves as coming from the Buddha, and they seem to connect up with, because one is dependent on the other. The whole the coherent system of Buddha's thinking includes this.
The reason I ask is that there is a perception among naive Westerners that Buddhism teaches more a cultivation of the personal consciousness and soul, and is really is not involved in metaphysical questions.
Yes and no. If you ask the person, what is your attention given to, you'll say, 75% of my attention is on my personal development. My practice is what makes me a Buddhist, not my knowledge. But Southern Buddhism has this amount of the theoretical material already preserved in their canon. But if you go to the Northern Buddhism, the philosophical issues, the metaphysical issues that they deal with, particularly taking emptiness as a center, what is called the concept of no soul was expanded and deepened in Northern Buddhism, the concept of an emptiness, so that it can support detachment more strongly than the concept of non-self. So there, the philosophical details that we go into are great, but you would hear the Buddha himself once said, you are studying that theory, you are only a shepherd or a cowherd. You are protecting cows for other people to enjoy the milk and the milk products. So you have to be a practitioner of the Dhamma. So that is where that emphasis has changed.